Coach Armeni on for a few questions. How are we doing today, Coach?
Not too bad. How you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad ourselves as well. As we're heading into a week 10 for everyone in the area. And you guys now, after winning last week in that close one.
We're glazing over that. Can we just ask real quick, from your perspective, that last play, what it was like watching it unfold? And as a coach, have you ever been a part of something like that?
If you look at the film real closely, you can kind of see me chasing him down the sidelines. So it was pretty exciting. And that's one of those building block games. Liberty played awfully well. I think that we made some uncharacteristic mistakes, but good teams find a way to win when you don't have your best game, and I think that's kind of what we were able to do there, and certainly, made it a little bit dramatic there at the end.
And looking at what you guys did last year, from a 6-4 football team overall last year, into what you've done now, currently sitting number 1 seed, likely a top 4 seed at home, what does it mean now for this program, and what growth-wise have you seen from last year to the end of this year now that you've been most impressed with as the Vikings currently sitting as number 1 seed?
There's really no substitute for experience when you're talking about high school football. 17, 18-year-old guys who have started 30, 40, varsity football games for you act a lot differently than a 15-year-old sophomore who's playing in his 3rd varsity game. It's just you can't say how important experience is enough. Right now, being number 1 really doesn't mean a whole lot. We want to win playoff games. We want to make a push, so being 9-1 or being ranked wherever we are in the region doesn't really mean a whole lot to us right now. We want to win games in the postseason.
I know seeds don't mean a lot, but I'm sure it does mean a lot to know that you're going to have some home games in the playoffs and be able to have the backing of this community that has been with you all season. Was that one of the goals this year to try to secure a home playoff game?
Yeah, we always look for little things to motivate our guys. We've only hosted 2 playoff games ever here at LaBrae, in the 50 years of the playoff system, and having the opportunity to host 2 and kind of match that number was a real big deal for our seniors. We basically mathematically clinched a playoff berth 5 weeks ago. So we were trying to figure out ways to motivate them, and that was something that we identified with the guys. That really meant a lot to them. So, yeah, it does mean a lot to them, and it means a lot to the community, too, to be able to drive 5 minutes to see your team play.
I think there's no doubt in this one you guys come in as the favorites, being at home against a Campbell team that is having a little bit of struggles this season, still trying to build that foundation for their program and build that one up. How do you keep your guys motivated in this one, knowing that wins and losses can still affect where you guys ultimately stand out in the end of the season?
Campbell has tough kids. They always do. I think I've played Campbell pretty much every year since I've been in high school. And every year, no matter how good they are, how many wins they have, how experienced they are, they play tough and they hit you hard. And that's certainly what comes out on film. This is senior night for our guys. We want this to be a celebration of, their effort and kind of like our chance to kind of enjoy some of that pageantry stuff. So we expect our guys to come out motivated, and take care of business here, to basically honor our seniors. We kind of want to get that stuff out of the way here so we can focus, next week on the postseason and not have to worry about any of those, extracurricular things.
Let me ask, because when you win like you did last week, you said that you guys made some uncharacteristic mistakes and probably on film didn't play, to the level that you guys know that you're capable of. How did you balance this week of being excited for that win and the way it went down, but also trying to zero in on fixing the things that you see on film that didn't go as well as you would want them to?
I think that's basically our goal every day of every week of the entire year is to embrace that process of getting better. We like to, throw the kids some sugar when they do something well. Obviously that last play, one kid getting a sack, another kid scoop and scoring, is a nice thing to celebrate, but I personally don't think it should have come down to that. There were a lot of opportunities in that game. The previous drive, we're down on the 1 yard line. We fumbled in the end zone, which doesn't happen very often for us. Would that have even existed if we didn't fumble the ball into the end zone? So every day this week we took 100 snaps. So just one of those things where you want to correct the things that are correctable. And there were good moments in that game in Liberty last week. And again, you can't sell Liberty short. Man, they played a really good game. They got some dudes there. They're pretty senior heavy. I wasn't really aware of that until I started scouting them going into that week. And they did a great job. I would look for them if they're able to get into the playoffs. I would look for them to make a little bit of noise.
And my final question for you, Coach. The biggest thing, I think, the change we've seen from last year to this year, and I think you quoted it last time we talked to you, the defense was the thing you wanted to see a big improvements on. And now we've seen LaBrae has, pitched 3 shutouts now this year, and the defense has looked vastly improved. With the exception of the Liberty game, you guys have consistently 20 points or less multiple times this season. Speak to me a little bit about the effort you've seen from your defense and just the credit you want to give them from last year to this year and how they have improved.
It really has. And we've been able to kind of morph into a little bit more of a ball control offense because our defense has gotten some stops for us. We haven't had to take as many chances on offense, which, has kind of taken them that point toll a little bit. But our defense has played so much better that we've been able to do that and eat the clock and kind of prolong some drives with 8, 9, 10 plays and do more of a rushing offense, which is kind of what we would prefer. We're all basically offensive linemen over here, so we kind of like that running offense. But the defense has played pretty well, and honestly, it really centers around our linebacking core. When those guys are dialed in, when they're flying to the football and creating turnovers, and we've been starting a freshman Mike linebacker for probably the last 4 or 5 weeks. As he's come along, he's going to be a special football player. As he's come along and gotten more confidence and kind of figured out, what he is seeing and being able to react instead of think, our defense, can keep doing those things. I would expect for us to be able to stop anybody at any given moment here.
I got to ask last question for you, Coach. We're at the end of the season. Obviously, football is a grueling sport, physical every week. And I'm sure, every team deals with injuries, even if they're not injuries that keep you off the field. But everyone's going to be kind of banged up at week 10. How do you your program specifically, how do you try to keep kids fresh through this last stretch of the season, getting them in the playoffs when it's been such a long season of football? And I'm sure there are plenty of kids that are dealing with some bumps and bruises.
Well, I think you can evolve with your practice schedule, what you put the kids through. We do a little bit more game conditioning stuff than we do like just grueling conditioning stuff during the season, and it becomes more of a schematic matchup, like adjustments week in and week out. Instead of having to run, 200 plays to rep out what you do, you've already gotten thousands of reps. So it becomes more of a, how do we take what we do and adjust it to what the other team is going to show us. So I think you can save them a little bit during practice time as well. Although we do, we still practice pretty long hours and still, try to be as physical as possible. And we are, everybody's banged up, but when you have 11 seniors and all those guys play an important role, you would basically, have to remove one of their legs for them not to be able to play. We've had some situations where we've had some of those guys banged up and, our trainer tries to hold them out and they fight to get back on the field. And that's certainly what you want to see as a football coach. But, again, we want to play. We want to keep playing for several weeks. So, they got to learn to take care of their bodies a little better too.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us this week. Good luck tonight against Campbell, and good luck as you venture on into the playoffs. I'm sure we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.